Good? Yeah. Fantastic. Good afternoon. Hi. Lot more awake Italians in the afternoon than this morning at 8:30. Where were you all at 8:30 this morning? Yeah, you were here. I know. Some of you were here. Okay, you're back for more? I'm so sorry. I just took a photo for my mother, who I think doesn't believe that I actually work for a living. So she needs to see all of you. She thinks I just go to Italy and other fun places for fun. If you have a seat next to you, just raise your hand so that some of the folks in the back can have a seat. My name is Lynn. We're going to talk about the donor experience. That's me. I got to go to the islands this Christmas and kiss a stingray. So if you haven't done that, you should do that. I'm so excited to be back with you for the second year. This is the second presentation today. This morning, we talked about mid-level donors. Did everybody have a good time talking about mid-level donors? Okay. So now we're going to talk about the donor experience. And so this applies really to all types of donors. There's no set amount here. So if you take in gifts for your organization, then this is for you. Sound good? Okay. So I'm going to speak nice and slow for my interpreter friends in the back. But here is the reality of our work. And these numbers are from the United States. They're from the Fundraising Effectiveness Project, which is run by the Association of Fundraising Professionals. And I don't have Italian numbers, so maybe we need to do an Italian study on retention. But this is what donor retention looks like in our industry, okay? Overall, we only keep 46% of our donors giving year after year. That's not good. Less than half is not good. And if you look at first-time donors, people who give you their first gift, we keep only 2 out of 10 of those donors. Now, if we ran a restaurant and 8 out of 10 people came and ate with us and never came back, we would not have a restaurant any longer, right? Especially not in Italy, because food is the thing. Yes, I had some gnocchi last night that was so good, and the wine was only €2. Oh my God. So I had many euros wine. It was really good. But look over here. If you get a donor to give to you monthly, they stay at 90% of them stay. So we really have to work hard crafting an experience that donors want. It's not good enough to have a charity and say we do good work. It's not good enough to tell them about the good work that you do. We have to make this an experience. If Italy, and I know it is starting to be, is anything like the United States, we have 2 million nonprofits in the United States. And we only have a certain pot of money. And in Italy, as I can tell from last year, you guys have grown and you get more and more nonprofits. So donors have choices in where they give their money. And what we know about those donors is that they will choose to give not to the organization with the best mission statement or with the most handsome CEO. They will give to the organization that treats them the best, right? So we have to spend time thinking about, after the donor gives us money, what is their experience? How do we engage them? How do we talk to them? And what is the secret? What is the ticket to understanding their behavior? This, ladies, you understand, is what happens with a lot of donors. Ladies, you go in to get your hair cut and you bring them this photo and you leave looking like that. Allora. Right. My one Italian word this week. Okay. That's what happens with a donor. They come in, they give to your nonprofit, they're very happy, it makes them feel good, and then we say, can we have some more? That's this. They're not happy. And so they leave. And they leave us because we don't think about them once we obtain their gift. We don't think about their relationship with us. And we don't think of it as an experience. And it really is an experience. Where did I learn this? Well, my first ever job in the world was working at Walt Disney World. And I was responsible for the guest experience when you go on rides and when you go see Mickey and things like that. And there's no better company to learn the guest experience from. And what I realized is that people will pay crazy amounts of money for very simple things, not because the simple thing is better, but because you gave them a good experience. And so that's how we have to apply this to fundraising. So we have a problem. Yes. We have a problem because we're focused on fundraising success. So if I ask all of you what your goal is for the next year, most of you will tell me a certain dollar amount. We need to raise X amount of dollars. We need to raise this amount of money. Your goal needs to be, we need to keep and retain X amount of donors. That is success in fundraising. Understanding that we keep 80% of our donors or 5% more than we did last year. That is fundraising success. Because you can raise $10 million a year, and if you only keep 5% of your donors, there's no point. You're going to be a hamster on a wheel every year. And there's a finite population out there. There's only so many people that give money away. So you'll run out of those good-natured people because they'll have a bad experience. The other problem challenging us is that the media, the modern media, isn't friendly to nonprofits. A lot of things that people read about nonprofits are no good, right? We have organizations like the Red Cross who's in trouble in the United States. We have United Way who's been in trouble before. We have Wounded Warriors. They hear bad things about nonprofits. So we have to work extra hard to overcome some of these headlines, right? Because mistakes are made, and understand that people want to do good, but not if it makes them feel bad. So I might go through a wonderful diagram like this and tell you, oh, look, I made a PowerPoint, and this is the wonderful cycle of what happens when a donor comes in, and this is how you have to follow them, and then I'll use a laser pointer and say you need to go from here to here. But this doesn't make any sense to me, so don't take a photo of this. Don't take a photo of this. Instead, I drew Lake Garda. This is Lake Garda. This is from a friend of mine. And when I saw this, this makes so much more sense to me than this stupid thing. So don't do this. Look at this. We have a pretty lake, right? And we have donors. And think about, these are the relationships the donors have with you. This is going to make so much more sense to you than a stupid PowerPoint diagram. This is when donors come in, acquisition, right? They come in. But oh no, only 20% of them stay because they have to go over the hill, right? So then we have to get to know them. We have to bond with them. We have to build a relationship with them. And then we have to allow them to hang out in the water. We have to allow them to float. We have to allow them to take the time to enjoy, maybe have an aperitif or something like that. We have to have time there. We can't constantly churn the water and expect people to have a good time. People like to remain calm for a while and get to know you. And some of these people will choose to go over and make a major gift or a planned gift or a pledge, and they'll choose over here. But we want to keep them in the lake. And we know that some people are going to lapse and go away. But we have to make sure that we're getting them back quickly and easily. After a donor leaves your organization for 3 years, they will not come back. You can try as you might to say, but love us again. It's kind of like a bad boyfriend. Once they're gone, se fue, right? In Spanish. Sorry, I don't speak Italian. Spanish, Portuguese, not Italian. Right. So we want to think about donors in terms of this, not this. This is corporate. Lake. Right? And we need to have donors spend time here. This is much more relatable to our organization. But here's the thing. All of this requires an experience. There's no experience here. Look, there's a button that says amazing experience. Does that look amazing? No. That looks very boring. This is what you need them to have. You need to have them spend time with your organization, get to know you, and recognize their behavior. So this is what you want to do, right? This is the best diagram I've ever seen explaining how to get donors to hang out with us. But this is us. We trip over ourselves all the time. And then we watch it happen. Leave it to the USA to watch it happen. Right? We don't take responsibility and we say, oh, but fundraising's so hard. I don't have any money. I don't have any staff. Have you met my database? I can't do anything. I just keep doing the same thing over and over. And I say to you, if you want to do that, you will continue to trip on your donors and they'll continue to leave. So you have to make a change. You have to change the way you think about the donor experience because our donors are expecting more from us. And now more than ever, we can't afford to do this. So this is from Penelope Burke, who wrote Donor-Centered Fundraising. And what we think donors want and what they actually want are two different things. And so what worked for us in fundraising 20 years ago doesn't work now. What donors expect from us isn't the same. Look at this. 73% of donors threw them out. I once did a very fancy event in North Carolina, and we handed this donor this beautiful Steuben crystal thing, and he seemed to be happy. And at the end of the night, when we were cleaning up the room, it was next to his chair underneath the table, and he left without it. So it didn't mean anything to him. What meant something to him was meeting the people whose gift benefited him, right? But it wasn't about the item. So we have to remember that sometimes when you're looking at details, things pop up. So see the penguins? Oh, look, there's a seal. Yes, did you notice the seal first or the penguins first? The seal. Good, good, good. You're awake, Italy. You're awake. Right? And the seal looks fun, and he's going to eat one of them. But anyway, it's okay. I just wanted to see if you were paying attention to the difference in the world. You have to be the difference here. You have to be the one that comes back to your organization and says, I understand we have a calendar. I understand we have to get this done by this deadline, but we can't keep doing it the same way. And here's why. Donors now more than ever want information about how their gift is used. That's the shift. Donors used to give to us and say, oh, charity, you do good work, keep it up. Here's more money. Now donors are saying, but what did you do with my money? And what impact did it have? 80% of donors give to see a difference, to make a difference, to see a change. And if everything's already okay, then where did I make a change? Show me that, right? And especially with our young folks, they have to see that your giving made a difference. So we have to think about this in a completely different way. Because otherwise, they'll get mad and go away. Right. Notice this is not a normal slide presentation. I was drunk. I took this photo of this little guy. He's very mad. Okay. Here's the reason we can't do the same thing. Because companies are thinking about this all the time. So when you buy a pair of shoes, they have a journey for you. When you rent a hotel, they have a journey for you. When you fly on an airline, they're thinking constantly, what is the customer experience the moment after they make the transaction? I'll give you an example. I buy a lot of shoes. I went to Milan this week without a suitcase. It was awesome. So last year when I came here, they lost my luggage in Rome. This year when I came here, they lost my luggage in Milan. So I am stimulating the Roman and Milan economy all by myself. They found my luggage, but it took a minute. So this year I had a bag with me. I was prepared because I knew they were going to do it. But anyway, I buy a lot of shoes. And at Nordstrom, when I buy shoes, I might put shoes in my cart online. And then I get interrupted, like I have to do my job or something, so I close that out. The next day, Nordstrom sends me an email and says, you forgot these shoes. They're very cute shoes, and they want to come home with you. And here's a coupon so they can come home with you faster. And I go, I don't want shoes to be lonely. Let me take care of you. So I bring them home. When I go to your giving website and I go to make a gift and I say, oh no, don't have the time, or I don't have my credit card, and I leave, you guys go, okay, ciao. You don't ever say, did you mean to leave us alone? Would you like to take us home? Here's a way to make your gift easier. We don't think about the journey. Or if I make a gift and then I make another gift in a month or so, you never say, how about instead of making gifts more than once, you sign up for our monthly giving program? We don't ever send you on a path because we're not thinking about it from an experience point. But people are, and people have high expectations. Be it Amazon, which rules my world in the States, or Disney, or places like Apple, or Starbucks for us in the United States. Everything is personalized to the person. They know what you drink, when you drink it. They know what kind of shoes. So, for example, I cannot wear high heels because I played rugby, and so I have a bad leg. The whole leg, it just doesn't work. And so I wear flat shoes. So Nordstrom never sends me advertisements for high heels because it knows I can't buy them, right? And so if Nordstrom constantly sent me advertisements for high heels, I wouldn't shop there because they would not know who I am. They would not understand my experience. So what we do is we say everything's the same for everyone. You get the same experience as you get. Doesn't matter because we're a lowly nonprofit. We don't have any resources. We don't have any staff. So everybody gets the same thing. And what happens is people leave because they're upset. Remember, expectation versus reality, the haircut, right? So instead, we have to look at this based on the donor's behavior and change the way we behave. And we have to do that from the start of the relationship. So I like to tell you, here's a problem, Italy. Here's what we're going to do, and then I'm going to give you how to fix it, okay? So feel free to, these are going to be online, take photos, whatever you need, steal this stuff. It's all on my website for you to download, and you can steal it here. We need to start relating to the donor the moment they make their first gift. And the moment they make their first gift, the first communication they get back from us is usually a receipt, right? So a receipt for the transaction. So one of the things we need to think about is the receipt beautiful? Does it communicate who we are, or is it your logo on a piece of paper? Yes, it's your logo on a piece of paper, I can tell you. It's sad, right? But what does it tell you about the donor? So here on this receipt, this is for a small university in the upper northwest near Seattle. And on their receipt, they have a story from a student, so it tells you the impact. But the most important thing on this receipt, on wheels, very nice, is right here. This says the number of years of consecutive support the donor has given. So it immediately tells the donor that we value your loyalty, and from the moment you make your gift, we know who you are. I stole this idea, as all good ideas are stolen, from American Express. On the front of your American Express card, it says two simple words, member since. And you feel kind of proud, like, yes, that's the year. My father has had an American Express card since 1964. He's old. Right. And he's really proud that every year he's had an American Express card. And they value his loyalty, and it says it on his statement and on his card. Are you valuing the loyalty of your donors right from the moment they make their first gift? Now, some of you are looking at me going, my database is a mess. I get it. That's okay. Everybody hates their database, right? That's a universal fundraising truth. Nobody has enough time, money, or staff, and everybody hates their database. It's okay to get it wrong, because that's an opportunity for you to talk to the donor and say, oh, we're so sorry we didn't have the records complete, but we don't want to take the opportunity away from saying to the donor, we value your loyalty. In this case, this university's database started in 1987. They didn't have anything before that, but they know they have donors who gave before that. So they say 30 plus years for people that they know have given longer. That's how they solve that problem. They don't avoid the problem by not doing it. They instead solve and recognize the behavior. So from the very first start, we have to recognize behavior and give them an experience throughout. So the only slide with words on it until the end, this is it. Everything else is photos. So I want you to think in terms of your donors, not how much they give. I don't care if they give 10. I don't care if they give 10,000. That doesn't matter. This process works regardless of amount, and you have to think about the donor's behavior. So for every donor behavior, we have a behavior back for them, right? So don't think about your communications in terms of big donors, small donors, middle donors. Think about them in terms of behavior. First-time donor is an important behavior. Right now, we only keep 20% of them. So every year, you're constantly turning over first-time donors. So we have to get them to give a second gift. Increase, donors who increase their gift. Remember, one of the indicators of a mid-level donor from this morning was someone who doubles their gift, right? So we need to have a plan for people who increase. Lapsed donors, remember that pond? We need to have a plan to welcome them back. Consistent or loyal donors. And then people who give in different ways. I gave the example this morning of Team Rubicon and how they texted me because they found out that I had given my gift on my mobile device. So understand that the way in which a person gives has a direct correlation with their communication preference. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you samples of communications from nonprofits in the States and who have done this that you can steal and implement at your shop. Sound good? Okay. First-time donors. So we have a brand new medical school at the University of Texas, where I live in Austin, Texas. And we wanted to do something good for first-time donors. So this is a postcard that we send to first-time donors who made their first gift ever. If they made their gift online, it goes out in an email. We use postcards because they stand out in the mail. We use them because they're cheap. And we use them because they're visual. So they're very easy to grasp. This is the front of the postcard. This is the back of the postcard. Your first gift, our next breakthrough. So immediately involving the donor in the story of a medical school. We also in here talk about that thanks to the donor, we're able to make things happen, right? Not the medical school exists and you just tagged along, but because of you or thanks to you, that we make these things possible. So these donors get this within their first 30 days of their first gift. Now, it's very important that when you do this project of the donor experience, that these groups know why you're sending them this communication and why they're special. So you need to actually say, you're a first-time donor, right? You're a repeat donor. Say that on the communication, because otherwise, they think that you sent the same thing to everyone. So there's a psychological motivation here that you know who I am and I am special as a first-time donor, right? So after that, they may receive a phone call. Now this is a great job for your board members, calling your first-time donors to say thank you. They may also receive a handwritten note. Handwritten notes are still the gold standard of thank yous. And then after a year of touching and really thinking about the experience with them, we may go back and ask them for an anniversary gift. So this is from the YMCA of Charlotte, where I used to live. And this is an anniversary postcard that we send on the anniversary of their first gift or near the anniversary, or an email, again, depending on how they gave. Very simple, and it says, next month marks 1 year since you made your gift. We want to celebrate you. Yay, you. Right? So again, custom to the donor, tailored to their communication, and a simple ask saying, we've been able to do this because of you. Right? Thanks to your generosity, here's what we've done. Would you consider doing it again? So in this year, you probably have the receipt. You have a thank you postcard. You have a handwritten note. You have a phone call. And then we ask them again for more money. When we put this in place, in 2 years, we increased first-time retention by 24%. That means we're holding on to more donors so that we have a better experience for them. One of the things that the donors really enjoy, and this is one of the things that I do, is having handwritten notes from the person that benefits from their gift. So at University of Texas, every year I gather over 9,000 handwritten notes from students and distribute them out to the first-time donors. It also teaches my young people that gratitude is really important. We call it having an attitude of gratitude, and that they should be thankful for the education that they've been given. This is a really great solution for your first-time donors. Even if you didn't do all of this and you just did one welcome postcard, what you're saying to that donor is, we know who you are, you're different, and we appreciate your support, and that you, a first-time donor, are different than everyone else. Now, the good news about this donor experience idea is that if I'm a first-time donor, I can't also be an increaser, and I can't also be a loyal donor, so I don't overlap, right? So it keeps it nice and clear. Notice the other thing is we never included the amount. So we don't have to bring up how much they gave, right? We don't have to do that in these communications because the amount is not important. And here's an interesting thing that we know about first-time donors. 70% of first-time donors make a gift that's nowhere near their capacity. It's 25, 50, 100. That's especially true for people in my age bracket in their 30s or 40s. Right? They can give 1,000 or 2,000, but they want to test it out and see if you're going to treat them well first. And a lot of times they're disappointed. Right? Okay, so let's look at another behavior. So we have to think about having an attitude of gratitude. This is from Charity Water. I think they do a brilliant job of thanking people who are in different populations. So this year, this young woman, Nora, gave a certain amount of money. I think it's $8.15. She broke open her piggy bank and she gave $18.15. And so Charity Water was so inspired by her gift that they recorded her and they said, would other people who are already in our supporter base consider giving $8.15 as well? Help us support Nora. And so a lot of us did, and so they thanked us based on that. So she sent us a thank you video. Cute child, right? Children and puppies works every time. Yes, it's universal. And they said 3,672 people gave between $8.15 and $108. And together, we're able to bring water to 2,500 people with those gifts. So they acknowledge that these donors are different than donors who give normally throughout their other campaigns. You gave to support Nora, and so you get a separate communication. See? It's about thinking about the donor's behavior. What's interesting about this is Charity Water is not very aggressive in trying to get second or third gifts out of their donor base. I've been a donor to them since 2007, so 11 years. And they try not to ask a lot. But when they do, they ask for specific items, specific amounts for specific campaigns. And I really appreciate that, right? Okay. Thinking about loyal donors. So I travel all the time, and I'm constantly looking for nonprofits who say, you've reached a milestone in giving. You've given 25 years. You've given 10 years. You've given 15 years. Congratulations. And nonprofits don't do that. Nonprofits get out the big check, right? And it says 25,000 on it or 10,000 on it, and they have a big check ceremony, which doesn't mean anything to donors. So I was in the middle of nowhere in Pennsylvania, literally the middle of nowhere, and I almost had an accident in my rental car trying to get this photo so I could bring it to you in Italy. And what it is these are people who clean up the side of the highway. So they're volunteers, and they go and they clean up the side of the highway. And what's interesting is this sign right here is from the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation, which are not warm, fuzzy people. They're government, right? It's like the driver's license people. They're not very fun. Yet they understand how to recognize a loyal donor. And so one of the things we have to think about is, how are you recognizing your loyal donors? Loyal donors are your #1 source for planned gifts. Loyal donors, small amount of money, will give you planned gifts. But are you treating them well? And instead, think about the psychology behind how businesses treat you when you're loyal. So I am on the road 300 nights a year. I fly and stay in hotels a lot. In March, I was not on the road as much, and I didn't stay at a Marriott. And I got an email from Marriott asking me if I was okay, because I hadn't stayed at one of their hotels that month. They were worried about me. And I was like, no, I'm just cheating on you with Hyatt. It's fine. But as a flyer, the more I travel, the better the airline treats me, right? Same thing in hotels, except when they lose my luggage. It's fine. It's fine. I'm still scarred. I took 2 different airlines and they both lost my luggage. So think about loyalty in terms of the longer you give, the better we're going to treat you. So I'm going to take a moment and allow my interpreters to read this to you. I'm not going to read it because I think it's something you need to sit with for a moment. So ladies. We spend a lot of time chasing big gifts, and we celebrate those donors. But we don't spend a lot of time understanding that small gifts can be large sacrifices for people, right? So don't overlook. That's why none of this work that we do, that we're talking about today, the donor experience has nothing to do with money. It has to do with soul and the way they feel, because generosity should be rewarded. So this is a typical case in a loyal donor. They may give to you $10 a month, $50 a month, and then they see the big check for the $25,000 person and they say, that's never going to be me. So if you only celebrate big donors, this is what happens to you, right? You lose the soul of fundraising. So instead, we're going to do this. I want you to think about customer loyalty. So this right here is consecutive year donor or loyal donor. And the more loyal the donor is to us, the better their experience is from the nonprofit. So what goes from a standard communication goes all the way up to a handwritten note or a phone call from the most important person in your organization. Not only do they get more frequent communications, but the communications get more personalized. So I'll give you an example of this in real life action with my parents. So I told you my parents have had an American Express card since 1964. 4 years ago, I got a call from my mother, and it happens. And she says, "Did you send us a package?" And I said, "No." They got a package sent to their home, and they opened it, and in it was a big box, a big blue box from Tiffany & Company. And I was like, "No, I really didn't send that." And it was 2 champagne flutes, a bottle of champagne, and 2 airplane tickets to anywhere in the world, and a handwritten note. And the handwritten note was from the CEO of American Express. And he congratulated my father on being a 50-year consecutive member. Now, it was 10 a.m., and my parents got drunk off the champagne, and they gave me the plane tickets, and my mom still has the note on her refrigerator 4 years later. And she checked to make sure it was really handwritten, because my mom is a stickler. Yeah. What mattered to them wasn't the fancy glasses or the well, they liked the champagne. Nobody's going to turn down champagne, or the tickets. It was that someone noticed that they were loyal. And that's a characteristic in them that they love the most. Now, what's interesting is when we talk about loyalty, the 2 groups of people that really are fiercely proud of being loyal are your oldest donors and your youngest donors. Your millennials, your Generation Z, and your octogenarians, people 80 and up, both of them love loyalty. But we don't spend a lot of time talking about loyalty. So I'm going to show you some communications that you could build to talk about loyalty. So I work in athletics, right? So we do cute things like doing this. At the Y, we use a 5-year-old child, and it says, "You've been giving since this kid was alive." Then we use a 10-year-old child. "You've been giving since this was alive." And then we use a teenager, and then it goes all downhill because they're teenagers, right? So no bueno. So this, 10 years consecutively, so that the person knows when they hit milestones. Not you gave $1,000, not it's our anniversary. You, the donor, we know about you. And then we want to put someone on the front that we tell the story. So we tell the story of the student athlete who's on the front of the postcard. Again, postcards and emails here, folks. Really simple things. Now, here's the good news. Just like the first-time donor, I know you guys don't have a lot of resources. You only have to design this once. They're only going to get this once. So you can design 5,000 first-time donor postcards. You only need one design. So this is relatively low maintenance. Then you have a stack of them, and you address them, and out the door they go. but it's pointing out this behavior. It's saying to them, your loyalty counts to us, right? Okay, bless you. Imagine when somebody doubles their gift. When someone doubles their gift, and we talked about this a little bit this morning, they will do it twice to show their passion for your organization. After they do it twice and no one notices, they will go away. They will stop giving to you because they say, I showed you my interest. I gave you 50 instead of 25 or 100 instead of 50, and you did nothing. So all of our donors get a phone call within 48 hours of doubling their gift. Wow, thank you. Can we meet with you? Can we tell you in person the impact of your gift? We also send them communication. So we did this one, but the best one I ever received, I have photos of. So I give to an organization that trains dogs for people who need an assistance animal. It's called Paws with a Cause. So hold on, your heart is going to get stolen. I know. Okay. Little puppy saying to big dog, oh my, look how you grew. So they're pointing out my behavior that I increased my gift, and with a simple note, thank you for increasing your support. That's it. Puppies, kittens, children, right? Puppies. Now, not only do I give to that organization, but now I say, wow, you noticed that I increased my gift. Now, the next time I'm more likely to do it. Right? Remember, it's psychology. It's kind of like training a puppy. The puppy goes outside, yay, you give it a treat, you throw it a parade. I do. Same thing with a donor. The donor does something you want them to do, you need to train them and reinforce that good behavior. They'll do it again. Right? Simple communications like this. Doesn't take much. It's a simple card in order to engage the donor. So think about people who increase their gift. This is a great area for your board to get involved. I start every single one of my board meetings by having them write 5 handwritten thank you notes. And then once a year, we call donors to say thank you. This is something simple you could do. Board members don't want to fundraise, right? Right, I roll my eyes. But they can give gratitude. So this is a simple activity you could have your board members do. Thinking about lapsed donors who we welcome back. So say I gave to you in 2015 and I come back in 2018. You need to have a behavior for that. You need to understand that my donor experience is different than other people's donors' experience. So we have a welcome back postcard. It says, hello again, we missed you. And it simply says, you're making a difference. Now, I literally had somebody ask when I did this presentation once, well, I don't like that you leave that in there. And I'm like, no, it changes to their name. Don't worry. We don't call people first name in the U.S. It's Lynn, right? And it just says, we missed you and we noticed you were gone. Please don't leave again. What happens often is people will take a year or two off from giving and they come back and we throw them right into the same behavior again and again with no real difference. There's not an experience there. So one of the things we have to think about is, what is the experience like for our donors? Understand that for every single one of these print pieces, there's a digital version of this that's very easy to do. You just pop that into an email, right? So you don't have to recreate a different communication every time. What you have to do is notice that they're different and do something based on that, right? So noticing that you have a different behavior, and I'm going to give you an experience. An experience is not all 500 people receiving the same communication over and over again. That's not an experience. You need to have deep and meaningful experiences for these donors so that they come back again. But it's hot in here. It's the afternoon, and all of you are doing this. This is hard, Lynn. How am I supposed to do this? Have you met my staff? I have a staff of 1 or 1.5, right? Or 1 1/4. I work with a dog. I don't know, right? Have you met my database? I don't have any money. I don't have any. Where do I start? Because right now, for some of you, this may seem overwhelming, that you actually have to map out an experience for every donor, that you can't just hurry up and ask them for more money. And what I will say to you is, start very simply. So you're going to do one of these behaviors. You're going to do it really well, and then you're going to move on. And the one behavior you have to focus on first is first-time donors. Because if they never come back to give a second gift, they'll never be loyal. If they never get a second gift, they're never going to be an increaser. If they never lapse, you're never going to be able to welcome them back, right? So all of this is predicated on that they will give a second or third gift. So you need to come up with an experience for your first-time donors. What is that communication path going to be, and how's it going to be different than someone who gives you twice or 3 times? If you can't do all of those communications, start with one communication. Simple postcard, simple email. Phone call. Welcome to our giving family. We'd love to say hello. How can we serve you? Right? But we need to give them an experience, not just say to them, thank you for your money, can we have more? That's not an experience, right? We really need to be methodical and think this out. So it may seem daunting at first. It may seem like a challenge. And I am issuing you a little bit of a challenge to do things differently, right? To be the difference between a bad haircut and reality, right? But we need to think about this because they have choice. So you have to do. So start with your first-time donors. After that, move on to your loyal donors. Your loyal donors are the base of your future plan gifts. They are the best advocates for you. Those are the people that talk about giving to your nonprofit a lot, right? If you want to have a great event, invite your major donors and your loyal donors and put them together in a room. Your loyal donors have given to you in times of good and bad, with good leadership and bad leadership, in a good economy and a bad economy, and they've stayed there. But have we rewarded that behavior? After loyals, maybe you tag people who increase their gift, right? Maybe that's a good one. Or you tag people who give together as a community. But start very simply. You don't have to conquer the world all at once. So here's what you need to do. Do something now. You have to start now. So when you get back, drink a little wine and come up with a plan, right? Because wine makes everything better, right? Think behavior. What is their behavior? Do not put a chart together that says $25 donors get this, $1,000 donors get this. Doesn't work that way. Every donor is a major donor in their head. And communicate in the way they give. If I give online, start with online. Doesn't mean you can't do direct mail. It means start with the channel in which I gave. It's probably the one I'm most innately comfortable in, right? So think about Team Rubicon. They sent me a text message because I gave on my phone. But don't overwhelm someone with mail when they're innately online. Okay, so that is my Instagram and Twitter. I have a website that has 14,000 samples you can download for free. I actually answer my email, and I can translate it, so I don't have those ladies following me around everywhere. I wish. They're fun. So contact me. I have a microphone so that we can do questions. I know that there's a lot of questions, and I've been talking at you for a while. Let's take some time to have a dialogue about this. Questions, thoughts? It can't be no questions. Oh, come on, Italy. Are you all sleepy? No? Oh, she's just applauding. No, that doesn't work. I like it. Aha. My friend from earlier. She's full of questions. No, it's fine. She's not paid.
So my question was whether you found any way of mapping donor journeys that you liked or that you use, any scheme, design.
Sure. So her question is, how do I map out the donor journey? So I have 2 ways. I'd be happy to email you both of those maps. They're also on the website. So I am OCD, color coordinated. I like Excel. So I use something called Smartsheet, which is an online version of Excel that can track documents. It's like a project management software. I have a friend who uses Bubbles to track the donor journey. Hers is more visual. I think it's all in how you like to work. But I literally have a spreadsheet that says every behavior with a donor and every communication we send them, and it includes the method of delivery for the communication. I'd be happy to give it to you. You can copy and steal it. It's blue, green, and yellow. I like it color-coded. But yeah, so, you can use something as simple as Excel, or, you can put together a beautiful cloud but you need to have a map. You need to have a map of where they enter and where they go. And the way we manage this process, just to give you some nuts and bolts, every month, all of those reports are delivered to us. The month of first-time donors, this month's loyal donors, this month's increasers, and then we send out the communications based on the lists that are sent to us. They're all very simple queries that can be pulled in any database. And so once a month, they're delivered to us, and an intern literally sends out all the communications for us. So once you design the program, it's very easy to keep going. Is that helpful? Yes? Okay. Questions? Yes, sir.
I've just one question. Would you suggest to customize the donor experience according to data that you collect from the donor? I mean, the more specification you know about the donor, the better is the communication you are going to give him.
Yes. So as you noticed, many of those communications are personalized. So first name, where they gave, when they gave. The more data, the better. And so we have we call it variable data, or mail. It's like a fancy mail merge. You can merge in images. You can merge in text. You can merge in whole paragraphs, like the receipt. Depending on where they give, the paragraph changes for them. But the more customized the communication, the better. Absolutely. Great question. Great question. Grazie. Anybody else? See.
A question about first-time donors.
Yes.
Your donor journey, donor experience for the first-time donors were received a phone call, thank you phone call, handwritten message, and then after a year, a celebration, postcard, a message, and in between, am I supposed to to send anything else?
Yes.
Or you
so
suggest...
if you have a donor newsletter,
yeah,
if you have an email, those but those happen to everybody.
So I keep using the other
your massive
pieces
communications
I use, but
this lays on top.
Okay.
So every donor, according to donor studies, Penelope Burke says that every donor expects 7 thank yous for every gift before you ask them again. That's thank yous without an ask. So if your newsletter has an ask, that's not a thank you. Right? If your email has a donate now button, that's not a thank you. Notice all the communications you saw, none of them asked for money. So you need to try to get to 7 before you ask them for money again. That's your goal. Can you get there? Oh, that's hard. But try, right? So first they get a receipt. Bless you. Then they get the first-time donor postcard or email. Then they get a phone call, handwritten note. You see I'm getting up there. In the meantime, they can get all your normal communications, but this is specifically for them. This is their experience.
But the rest of communication without.
The rest of communications without an ask. Yeah, be very strategic about how you ask. You can raise a lot of money with newsletters, with emails, but be careful that you're not constantly asking people for money and only talking to them when you want something. It becomes very transparent. Thank you guys so much for having me back this year. A special thank you to my lovely interpreting team who met with me last night and have been with me for 2 years. So thank you, ladies, for all your hard work. If you have any questions or you want to get a business card, I'll be here for a moment. So thank you, thank you. Thank you.